Station attacks with an AI fleet. That's what I want to talk about today. Recently, I was shooting some footage for another video, and this is what I got. And I was intrigued by the fleet that was just standing far away from the station and was shooting it from a distance without going into melee range. And I was like, what is going on here? That doesn't seem like the fleet behavior I know. So I wanted to know if that is the new normal in X4. And so I decided to do a video about it and try a few different fleet compositions and a few different attack strategies. Just don't mind that raptor that is just going into hugging range because, you know, no forward-facing weapons. But anyway, apart from that, the other ships are standing their ground. They're flying around the station and they're shooting every single module down. And I was like, how is this even possible? So I will be going through a few different strategies or a few different types of attacking a station with different ships and different turret outfits, just to see if that behavior is repeatable or if that was a one-time thing. And I'm going to start with a new fleet here because obviously my old fleet just got destroyed, and I wanted to start with a bunch of behemoths that are going to attack a Xenon station. So this is my first try to recreate the situation. We got a fleet set to attack with commander. We have the turret's behavior set all to attack all enemies. And we're going to have a simple attack command on the station from the fleet commander. And that's basically how it looks like. They are flying close to the station and start shooting it from their position. So far, so good. That's what I expected. But what happens next is a little bit difficult, because the ships are starting to fly around the station and sometimes even way too close. I'm trying to understand what's going on here, why there is, for example, this one behemoth there hugging the station that bad, basically only survives because there are not enough graviton turrets that are shooting it. And this is not a single occurrence, that happened a few times. It's like as if the ships are trying to get to different spots because they feel like it's too crowded at where they are. And then they are trying to get around the station in a behavior that is just simply not beneficial. And so I came up with a mechanic of how this could actually work.
Please come and talk to me about it.
No, Bozo, not right now. Let me take paint, because we're attacking a Xenon station, right? This is a Xenon station. You know, this is a chunky Xenon station. All right, great. You have your destroyers sitting here, right? And they're attacking. Bam, bam, bam. Now, one of them says, my attacks are not working anymore. I need to reposition. So instead of going here and reposition and attack from there, bang, bang, you know, we're going to disallow everything that's here and only allow a new position with blue markers, maximum here, 90 degrees to our position where we've been. So this here is a 90-degree angle. Bam, there you go, 90 degrees. That's what we call safe, because then this distance here, well, let me do this in red. This distance here is enough to keep the ship safe. I'm sorry. And you would go fast, slow positioning, and then reposition. That's how you would do this. All right, so I wanted to replicate that attack and changing a few different things. For the first thing, we're going to have a bunch of Odysseus E and Phoenix E set to attack with Commander. And here we're going to do a coordinated attack on the station. A coordinated attack functions a little bit different, and you need to set up a few other parameters, like here, if there is an automatic release, or if you want to trigger that manually. I want to trigger that manually. And we're also going to change the fleet aggressiveness to something a little bit lower. Then we're going to let the ships take their position before we finally trigger the attack. And what happens now is that the ships are set at a specific distance, and they're all going to start their attack at the moment you press trigger. They're going into the station. They're going really close to the station. That's pretty problematic. And what they're starting to do is, because I didn't change the command, I set it to attack the weakest targets first. They're going to attack the defense drones first while staying really close to the station, and that's pretty problematic. So a coordinated attack is probably the worst you can do fighting a Xenon station when you are in sector. As you see, they're not really going away from the station. They're still standing there because there are more and more defense drones coming, and they focus on defense drones instead of the station itself. So because that didn't work, we're starting at the point before the attack, and we're going to take a look at the weapon configuration here, which is set to defend for every single one of them. And they're still waiting for the coordinated attack, which I'm now going to cancel, and we're just going to give them a standard attack command to that station, and we're going to take a look at how that works out. They're also going in to the station, going into firing range, but the difference is they're not going to attack the small targets first. Though what happened is that they're still going very close because of what we talked about earlier, that they are changing their position of firing. And as you just simply saw, they are not going in a straight line, but going up the station and then behind it. So instead of going around it, they're taking a spot really close at the station and then trying to go around it. And that basically happens with this attack command, like almost all the time, as you see this. I would say this is not very helpful. So we need a different approach. Loading back to the point again before the attack, I'm going to remove all orders and assignments from these ships, and now we're going to try to just simply give them an attack command, not as a fleet, but as individuals. Does that change how these ships behave? At the first glance, it does change it, but you will soon see that there are already a few ships that are going into different positions, and they basically behave as if they would have been a fleet. So there's not really a great change or anything from this behavior between a fleet and individual ships with an attack command. They still behave as like a fire group that is trying to defend the station. As you see, like, this can have really bad outcomes where they're trying to hug the station. And sometimes it's pretty difficult to make these videos because something like that happens and you're facing a bunch of Xenons that are basically party crashing. Anyway, back to my starting point, and I wanted to try something else. I wanted to try if the weapon configuration set to attack all enemies will try to change something for these ships. So we're going to change every single ship, give them the turret behavior, attack all enemies, and we're going to see if that changes their entire behavior or if they are doing the same as before. They're gathering again at the station. It looks fine at the start. They're starting to shoot. You already see some shots going in, but then the inevitable will happen after some time, and a few ships, there we go, are trying to get new positions. Just because of whatever reason, I don't know, maybe there's just not enough room for the others. I don't really know where this is coming from, this behavior. But as you see, this is fatal for some of these ships, and you can only prevent that by keeping a close eye on your ships. And whenever someone starts to boost, the only thing that you can do is like pause your game, cancel the attack command, let them fly somewhere else, and then give them another attack command. Maybe that can help to prevent those unnecessary losses. At the end, it looks just like every other attack command. So here I'm trying a different approach. I have the Behemoth East, but this time they are further away from the station so that they have enough time to get into position that they want to. Though, if they are further away, I see that they are going into different shooting positions earlier, as you just saw the one at the top. And usually what I found is that it benefits a group when they are starting their attack from further than their radar range. So if you can manage to do that, that will help the entire fleet to get into a better position, and they will scatter around the station a lot better. They're still going to go every now and then across the station, but it's less likely to happen than a attack that starts very close to the stations. That's one finding. And then the last one. Now we're changing again back to having a fleet. We're going to assign one fleet leader, and we're going to give them an attack command, just like I did before, but this time as a fleet. And does that change their overall behavior attacking a station? And I can say, like I already saw in the other approach that we had, oh, there you can see really good that they're spreading around early on, which is great, so they have more room to fly around the station, but they still act as a group like they did even not assigned as a fleet. And we're going to talk about that underlying mechanic. While we already lost one ship, I mean, that happens. But as you see at the end, it works. Like, it can work. It's actually a thing, and you will not have as many casualties as we had earlier on. And yeah, it's a valid thing to attack a station now as a fleet, just simply hitting the attack command. I'm going to try this attack again with something that has a lot less range. What is going to happen if I do this with Rattlesnakes? Okay, great. What we're going to do is just simply the same. Going to right click and attack that station. I hope that these Xenon K there are going to stay away from this. We do have the same turrets on these Rattlesnakes than we had on the Behemoth E. The only thing that changed is the main battery. What we're looking at here right now is Rattlesnakes close enough to shoot the station with their main guns, though far enough for the graviton turrets. And they're also close enough to shoot with all their plasma turrets, which is nice. We have one Rattlesnake that is attempting to get a new position and is being attacked. It got shut out of travel drive, that's the thing. But it attempts to go to a 90-degree position, just like the one that I was preferring beforehand. But instead of doing this as a chained command, like let's say, for example, the Rattlesnake actually wants to go to the position behind the station. What I think is you should still only be allowed to move 90 degrees around that station, and that you just simply chain the command, that you go, just like this Rattlesnake did, 90 degrees to that station. Once it arrived at the point, it gets another command to go 90 degrees around that station, and then it is basically located behind it. Let's say you have a station, right? There's again there's the Xenon station, and let's say the turrets has got a range like this. All right, perfect. Now you have a ship which is just close outside of it, yeah, because that ship has got this kind of range. All right, so it's a little bit bigger. That ship is perfectly fine to shoot this, absolutely perfectly fine. But now you want to relocate, and let's say you want to relocate to a 90-degree angle, just like I said. This is the 90-degree angle, right? We got that. So you want to relocate there. The Rattlesnake has got the problem that it has to stay so close to the shooting area of that station that if it relocates, it flies in a straight line to the new blue spot. And as you see, this entire section here, which is orange right now, this entire section is where the ship is going to get hurt. Let's go, for example, on the other side. You have a Behemoth, which is shooting from here very far outside because its range is like a lot bigger than anything else. And it wants to relocate again 90 degrees to the station right there, right? And it wants to relocate in here. It flies in a straight line there, and it will never even touch range of the xenon turrets. So the shorter your effective shooting range, the less you should be allowed to travel. Like, let's say a rattlesnake should only be allowed to travel 45 degrees instead of 90 degrees. Then it would be flying in a straight line to the new 45-degree angle, and it would just barely, maybe just touch it very slightly, the effective range of the xenon graviton turret. So that's basically what's happening here right now. That's why the rattlesnake that you just saw got shot so badly and almost got deleted. Which one we're talking about? This one here. This rattlesnake. This got almost deleted because it was flying in a straight line 90 degrees to a different spot. Because if you take a look at this right now, if you take a snapshot of this here, do you see that every single rattlesnake is staying at their effective range? Everything looks great as long as they do not have to relocate. This is perfectly fine. And the shots are going to the station. There are no shots coming from that station. So basically the xenon have absolutely no chance to shoot down rattlesnakes, even though the effective range delta of these two is just 1 kilometer. So we have seen now a lot of different ways to attack stations, and at the end of the day, it is a valid method to attack stations now again. You want to keep in mind that you still need to take a close look at ships that are going to relocate through the station in that 180-degree angle, which I talked about. But the best behavior I've seen so far is you take a fleet, you set every single destroyer in that fleet to attack with commander, you start that attack from far away from the station, you gave them a simple attack command, and you monitor closely if someone is going haywire and flying directly into hugging range. That way, you will have a great time attacking station. It works. It's absolutely possible. Please tell me in the comments which fleet strategy worked for you, or what is your best strategy so far. Hope you liked the video, and I will see you in the next one.